up something. So I'm actually kind of offended by the whole dad bod myth. It's nonsense. Here's what I've heard. Like the science would say, when a man gets pregnant or when a woman gets pregnant, the man who she's living with, he starts developing what's called prolactin, which causes him to take on more body fat. You're a nurse, so you understand what I'm talking about. That look of that dad bod look is the look of a man who's staying home with the wife. So that's a comfort building look. Yes. And often when we see dad bods, what are we looking at? We're looking at celebrities. We're looking at Vince Vaughn, or we're looking at Seth Rogen, or something like that. Leonardo DiCaprio, or Elon Musk. When we look at that, he already has status, right? And then he has dad bod, which builds him comfort. But I refuse, I'm sorry, this is just me. I refuse to believe that women are physiologically stimulated, like sexually stimulated by dudes who are pasty and white with fucking blubber around their waist. I do not believe that. I think you guys are.
Well, their answers right now literally contradict me. I made a mental note of the girls that said nice body, but they in the prior they said dad bod's okay.
We literally had a girl on our show say that the whole dad bod thing, and then her ex-boyfriend is a fucking male stripper, bro. It was just like, I'm sorry, this dad bod thing. What I think it is that you guys would like it comes off as a very comfortable, submissive man who's going to stay at home with you, and I think you find that very comfortable and maybe attracting, but it's not alluring. Like I just have a hard time believing that you guys are set, like your vaginas get wet for a dude who's pasty and muffin top. I just don't believe that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's attractive, but it is not arousing, which I've come to realize those women are two completely separate things. Girls will be attracted to that, maybe, but they're not aroused by it. Another thing, too, I love that you mentioned it's typically tied to someone with status, because that guy's mediocre physique is compensated through their extremely high status.
Yes.
Leonardo DiCaprio,
he becomes more attainable.
Elon Musk.
Leonardo DiCaprio with six-pack abs becomes doubly unattainable because of his status in the six-pack abs. Leonardo DiCaprio, who's pasty and white, now and overweight, he now becomes a slightly more attainable. That's very comfortable. You can also imagine him helping you to take care of the kids, because that's the shape that men take.
Dad versus cat.
The reason why it's an evolutionary adaptation, because men get less sleep once the child, when child's born, so they store more fat because of it, and that's the reason where the dad bod things comes. But I truly believe it's a myth. I think it's nonsense. But the reason why I bring it up is because I think it's unhealthy for men to hear from women to go have a fucking dad bod. These guys are broke. They have no status whatsoever. And ladies are telling them to go get a fucking dad bod. You know how hard it is for me as like a performance coach? I have to sit there and deal with this shit when women are like saying this. And I'm like, no, dude, you got to get in shape. Seriously, you have to fucking get in shape. And then when they do that, and then all of a sudden more women are attracted to them, I'm like, do you see how what you heard from Disney and these women on these TV shows and all this shit was one thing, and then now you have more women in your DMs when you have six-pack abs? You see how these things don't match? Because rule number one in MOA, we don't listen to the fucking words.
There's an add-on to that, and I just saw I think it was Chris Williamson was talking about this, is saying that like the reason why women are more attracted to dad bods is because those guys are less likely to cheat.
Yeah,
they're less likely to be like a flight risk, I guess, as far as that goes. And I thought that was kind of laughable, because again, there's arousal and there's attraction. If you ask the average woman, like, what do you want in a guy? What are you looking for in a guy? She will give you all of these long-term security qualifications that he has to have for the future. And then you say, well, what gets you hot? What makes you aroused by? Like, what physical features do you like? That's when you get into the arousal factor.
Half the girls have tattoos.
No, I believe you guys sleep with dudes' tattoos. I don't believe that's not bullshit at all.
Well,
no cap whatsoever.
It's a danger trait, you know?
Yeah, it is.
It shows tribal alignment and the ability to take risks, which were from an ancestral period. Those were things that were attractive. I think,
and I should also say this, is that I think that a lot of guys who align up with that and they go, oh yeah, women really like, guys who say the women really do like dad bods, that's an intrasexual combat. There's like, it's almost like a fat chick telling another fat chick, you look great, girl. Don't worry about anything. You just,
and you're not going to lose your man to him because you, or to her, because you just told her she looks great being overweight.
It's basically sabotaging your competition.